Welcome to Get On With It, Inspiration for Life and Leadership. I'm your host, Sue MacArthur, President of Strategic Talent Management. We've all met them, the people who have a presence and a unique point of view that make us want to lean in and say, tell me more. In this podcast, we celebrate these people and provide a platform through which they can share their insights. Whether you lead a company, a community organization, or just your own life, we offer you these moments of clarity, hope, and inspiration. So let's get on with it. Today, I'm very excited to have Dr. Brigitte Bojkowszky joining me on this podcast, all the way from Austria. She is a global brand strategist, business educator, retreat host, and the visionary behind BridgetBrands. With a background that spans from the skies as a former flight attendant to the boardroom, lecture hall, and the entrepreneurial world, Brigitte helps individuals and organizations uncover their brilliance and build aligned, authentic brands that radiate impact. Here to talk about personal branding and how we can create the best version of ourselves, welcome, Brigitte.
Hello, thank you so much for having me, Sue. It's a pleasure being here today talking about the holistic concept of branding and
Right.
that also human beings are involved. We all are personal brands or leadership brands. So it's part of a whole concept.
Right. So let's start by learning a little bit about how you came to do what it is that you do. Was there a specific experience that put you on this path?
Not a really specific experience, but I think my whole life journey is is a compilation of diverse chapters that are seemingly not really related, but at the end of the day make sense. So,
Hmm.
as you mentioned already in this beautiful introduction, I started out as a flight attendant, and I was intellectually not really challenged. I've seen the world. There was so much experience, with all the different cultures and especially when it comes to service excellence, to provide the best possible service for someone, the whole experience. And that's where this passion for brand excellence took root. It's all about creating this specific service experience. And that started on board. And then I became a student and I studied, I did my master's and then my doctorate in business education, but also in international marketing and management, international business. So I liked both because there's the cultural aspect, there is the teaching aspect, and there is also the aspect of what happens globally, what's going on in this world. And since my perspective as a flight attendant from a bird's eye view, I also took a bird's eye view as a professor then after I finished studying and I was in corporate. I slowly started teaching at universities as a sideline. And then there was actually a specific experience that happened. It's during the financial crisis in 2008, and I was in the real estate development sector, and had a company went bankrupt rather quickly in 2008, and I was in this corporate leadership, and suddenly, yeah, I was nobody. I lost my identity with losing that job. So I realized I need to build a brand that's mine, one that nobody can take away, a unique identity that transcends any jobs or title, that is completely disconnected from a company, from a corporation, from an institution, and expressing your identity only through that, who you are as a person. That's what I learned. And then I transitioned into the teaching realm at universities, at university professor teaching all around the world. That was also fun and nice, but I was kind of stuck in that because weren't you teaching professor, always a teaching professor? There was no career path. And as you know, Sue, there is people who have a growth mindset, and there's people that have a fixed mindset, and people who love to be in the comfort zone, and people like to stretch the boundaries. You want to look outside. You're creative. You want to accomplish something different. You have a higher meaning, higher meaning, and there is a certain purpose that you want to have fulfilled in this life, and that's something you got to figure out. And I'm more the second one. I want to push the boundaries, and I knew if I stayed in that traditional rigid system of a university where you never kind of level up and there is no career path, then I would resignate. It would end up in a quiet resignation. And I thought, this is not what I want in my life, being in the mid 40s at that time. Yeah, so I started my own business. Basically, on the sideline, I already did. I prepared myself because I'm more intentional, and I like to know what comes. I like to be organized. So that's why I started the whole thing. And branding, that makes sense because I was in international marketing management. Branding is part of it. I taught global branding strategies and everything. And then I broke that down, what I teach at the university with Harvard case studies, Ivy League case studies, all the branding strategies of the big flagship brands that are out there. And you can also apply that to people, individuals, because it all starts with individuals. Companies are built from individuals. There's always a human behind those big brands. And so I see the world, and there's so much to that. And this is basically what I'm doing now. I'm looking at how companies are created, companies' culture, but because it's always the look inside first. That's where
Mm.
branding starts, with us within introspection, with the individual, but also in the aggregate. When we think about a corporation, how a company is set up when it comes to its culture, it's about team spirit, it's about the value set that we live and breathe every day as an organization, and what we live inside reflects to the outside world. Yeah, so my journey was more everything from the outside. Also, as a flight attendant, it's always, the airline from the outside, the flight attendants, and how is your marketing, and how is the experience on board? How do we make people feel? But it starts from the inside. So I broke everything down to the individual, and we go really internally. It's all about what's within you. And that's where branding starts. It starts from within.
Well, you have said that branding is a holistic concept and it starts with a mindset. Tell me more about
Mhm.
that. What do you mean by that?
Okay, yeah. So it means looking beyond logos and taglines. A brand is a living system, a fusion of whether it's a person or it's a company, a fusion of your values, of your voice, of your visuals, of your behaviors as an organization, as a person, and how people feel when engaging with you or your business. Basically, it's your story in action. Your story in action. It's how you're making others feel by presenting yourself, by showing who you are, by putting out who you are. Your identity is then reflected in the market by how other people feel you, and they create an image about you. And that's why identity and image needs to be aligned, because I need to know my customer, and I appeal to the right customer when I can speak to them, when I speak their language, when I offer the service they desire, when I can turn a pain point into a gain. It's then I attract. And branding starts with from within. It's also It's your true self. It's your authenticity speaks. And when you truly authentic, you attract the right people. And those are the people that say, she can read my mind, or they can read my mind. And that's where a relationship starts with your client. You're building a brand relationship. And that's how you make a customer feel. And if the company brand promises excellence and courage, this has to echo through every touch point. So every touch point must echo that. From your mail tone to decision making, under stress, for example, because you always react differently under stress than when you normally do. Yeah. So it's a holistic branding and practice, basically. And holistic has also different layers. This is one of them. Yeah? It doesn't start with a logo or a color or a tagline. It starts from within. We need to attach meaning to a logo and a tagline. What does this mean? What's the story behind it? And then holistic also, its corporations can be branded, services, products, experiences, people, everything actually can be branded. Yeah, like countries, it's everything. Yeah, but it's all about how you make a customer feel at the end of the day.
You are focusing more lately on personal branding and leadership branding. Why that shift? I know that you still do corporate branding, but why are you putting more focus on the personal side of things?
Yeah, because I love where it all starts, and that's the individual. We're doing business with human beings, not with a tagline or with a brand or with a logo, right? And because each of us is a brand, whether a solopreneur, an executive, a parent, everything, whether we are aware of it or not, but we always speak also when we not speak. Yeah, there's always a communication to the outside world. You're showing yourself in all walks of life, and people have a perception about you. That's why you're a brand. Yeah, they brand you if you are not having control with who you or understand who you are, and what you want to convey. And companies basically thrive as individuals stand out. And what I mean by that is that, and there are studies, 70% of employers say a personal brand outweighs a resume. Yeah, because there is you're working with someone. Yeah, there is something you can do. And think presence, think in terms of presence. It's not about the perfection and the performance that people have. It's about the authenticity in the presence, how authentic you are when you are present. Yeah. And personal branding is therefore not vanity, it's a trust accelerator in that sense. And there's also statistics out there. When you think about this, nearly half of a company's value, and statistics say that it's a study from Weber, Shandwick, and KRC Research in 2024. They say that half of a company's value, it's about 44%, is tied directly to how its CEO is perceived by the world. Think about all the big brands, Tesla, think about Amazon and so on. It's not just flashy headlines or vanity, it's a critical driver of success. And because of that, a strong leadership brand opens the door to top talents. Who doesn't want to work with a company where you have such a CEO, such a strong personal identity behind this company? Yeah? It also builds trust with investors, with other companies, partners, so directly and indirectly. Because then confidence in leadership becomes confidence in the company. Yeah, when you know, okay, who is that? Who created all of that? Yes, I trust this guy, I trust this woman. This company must be a good company. And it also boosts financial performance, since reputation shapes everything from the stock price to the shareholder engagement. So in short, a CEO's personal brand isn't just a nice to have, it's really a strategic asset that can make or break a company's trajectory. And managing that reputation, I call it the modern leadership. That's what it is. So building you as a person is building the brand ecosystem and ultimately also the company and its success.
Interesting. When we talked
Mhm.
recently, you made a comment that personal branding is about creating the best version of ourselves. What do you mean by that, and how do we do it?
Yeah. So creating the best version of ourselves, who doesn't want to be the best version of ourselves in general, right? Sometimes it's just the best version that we can when we are not in a good mood, when we are not in our best, just get out of bed and kind of survive the day. Yeah. But we want to give our best every day with what we have and who we are. And the first thing is always the reconnection, the look within. That's the first thing that you're gonna do is to look inside. Who am I truly? Yeah. And it's when you do that, it's actually excavating to the core. There is so many layers of conditioning, yeah, since we are, since our childhood and upbringing, and there's all these different kinds of beliefs that we need to unlearn, which are not healthy for us. And then finding our true self means, okay, so who am I in this moment and who do I want to become in the future? And become in the future, there is this becoming. We are never ending. We are always in the pursuit of becoming something, but we need to know what we want to become. Otherwise, we are just lost somewhere in between, maybe. Yeah. And that happens to a lot of people that we are just is a word, but we are lost somewhere that we asking ourselves, what's next? Yeah. If I was this, and I don't want to be this anymore. You are in between two different states of being, basically. And yeah, so the first is to look inside and actually the vision. What is it that I want to become? And figure that out. And then everyone has a story to tell, a narrative that you tell yourself. The question is that a true story? What is really your story that also makes you different? That's what you want to work on. Very often it's not the funny, the great, the positive things that happen in life. It's the story, it's the pain that you have gone through. So then you turn this pain into a purpose, and that becomes our mission, our own personal mission, but you can also make it as your business. And that's very often the very successful business owners that is based on such a pain purpose story.
Hmm.
And another important thing is what are our values that we live and breathe every day? What is it that we live by every day? I think that's the fundament, because every day we make hundreds or even thousands of decisions, right? So unconsciously, yeah. But this conscious decision, sometimes we really need to make a decision. And knowing our core values makes decision making so much easier. You're much more intentional. It keeps you on the right path. It's kind of, when you combine that with your vision, it's anchoring your North Star. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's where you start. And most importantly, shifting into a positive mindset with something that is empowering. And also, I think it's this the social circle we are in should be healthy, because we are social beings, right? And it's the people that we surround ourselves by or with that is also a supporting anchor. Yeah,
Right.
I think this is in a nutshell that yeah, and rounding that up, I think when it comes to this introspection, because your internal narrative that you are creating, designing, refining becomes your outer reputation. So mindset actually is the bridge between your inner greatness, brilliance, what makes you different from everyone else, what is you, what's your purpose. Yeah, it's bridging to the external brand expression. So greatness always begins inside.
And I'm hearing a theme in what you've been saying of authenticity and positivity is a big part of this personal branding
Mhm,
effort.
mhm, mhm. Yeah,
From a
yeah, yeah.
practical standpoint, what can our listeners start doing right now to define their personal brand? What are some steps that they could take to
Okay.
to make this happen?
Yeah. So kind of very easy, simple steps. It's just part of a big, big thing that you're doing. Yeah. But the first three steps would be define your inner truth. Yeah, kind of your inner brand or your inner truth, your inner being, or become more familiar with who you truly are without any facade or hiding behind a facade or a mask that we are wearing in different roles, right? So it's journal three core values, for example. Just take your time and sit down and think about what could be my core value. Come up maybe with three that are really just spark your mind at the very moment. And one story that exemplifies each of these values. Why? Ask yourself why? Maybe five times why. It's the deep why, because then you go to the root cause. Yeah? This could be one of the first steps. The second one, it's not only about mindset, it's also the embodiment practice. So, for example, take 2 minutes of presence, grounding, grounded breathing, for example. Ground yourself in breathing. It could be a meditation or deliberate posturing. Yeah, shoulders up and back, upright chin. Yeah, and so forth. Yeah, maybe power mantras, affirmations that help you to kind of turn limiting into empowering beliefs. And last but not least, carving out 90 minutes weekly for becoming work. And here we go into the strategy, into reflection, into writing. So there's a lot of then activities that are part of this personal brand building work that can then, because personal branding is kind of the foundation, the core, but you are playing different roles in your life. Maybe you are an executive, you're climbing the career ladder when it comes to elevating your executive presence. So, what does it mean in terms of a company, of a leadership presence? What's the leadership brand that you are taking on? Or maybe you're an entrepreneur, or you're shifting from a corporate into entrepreneurship. That's also a completely different story. Yeah, that is. I think that's the hardest ever, because you need to find yourself. You need to work on yourself. There is such a change, such a it's a metamorphosis that is going on, a transition, a change, a transformation that is that for me, for example, was really the hardest but also most fulfilling, because I really got to know myself to the core. I think those are the first three things, because personal branding is not just mind, it's body, mind, and soul. It's all together. It's
Really,
all
who you
together.
are at the core.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
When
yeah.
building a brand, whether it's personal or corporate or what have you, what are some common mistakes that people make and how can they avoid them?
Try to be who they are not.
Hmm.
Personal branding is not becoming someone else or someone new. It's about becoming who you truly are. You have got it already in you. It's already there, but we just don't see it. We're so out of focused and how other people want us to be, to show up and to perform. No, it's about you. And it's not about someone else or someone we admire to become, yeah, because then it's not you. This will never work. Yeah, this is then you are trapped in this box of inauthenticity. I call it like that. I just, yeah, it's this box where you try to fit in, mold yourself, and admire and try to become someone that is not you. Yeah. But becoming authentic is working with who you are and with the greatness that has been in you all over, has been there all the time already. So it's really about reclaiming your voice and your vision, because when you do that, when you live that, regardless what other people say, you become magnetic for those opportunities, for those experiences, for those people that are supposed to be in your life, or
Right.
also your the companies that want you to hire, because yes, this is a person that represents us. I see that person, this there is alignment.
Mhm.
So I think that is that when it comes on the personal level is something that people are not doing wrong, but maybe they're just not aware of it, that it's about authenticity and also vulnerability. And the second thing, when you become an entrepreneur, is starting with the end in mind. Yes, having a vision, this is good, but not starting with a logo and with colors. Because usually when you do that, you have to start all over again, because you need to give meaning to a logo and a color. You need to express the meaning, the feeling that who you are. And you only know that once you know yourself and your vision and your mission and your values. Once you have that, then you express that in physical evidence, in brand elements such as a logo, a tagline, the colors, and the name. Then it has power, because there is meaning attached to it. It says something and makes others feel. So they feel you through these brand elements, through the colors, through the name. They feel exactly who you or the company is about.
Right.
Yeah, I think these two things are the most the lessons learned, or maybe something that people are not aware about. And there's one more thing. It's about leadership. It's like conformity versus authenticity. A lot of people conform a lot in order to, people please, in order to climb the career ladder, because they're supposed to be like that. But there's also this authentic me. So it's also about understanding who you are, and infusing that into your leadership. Because a leader, as we had before, it's the personal brand. It's what you stand for in alignment with the organization. So it needs a portion of your authentic self, and that might mean stretching boundaries, making suggestions that go a little bit beyond, pushing, it's about, and that's where innovation lies. Because without that, we would not evolve. And we are strong when we evolve in the same direction, where there is a spirit of innovation, there is spirit of authenticity. And we need this kind of rebels. We need this, whether this kind of friction, because without that, we are not growing. We are not going beyond our comfort zone. I think this is also a point where a lot of leaders who are in a system, in a traditional system, do not dare to stretch the boundaries, to go beyond, to question, to be the rebel, and
Mm.
yeah, to have this personal note, the personal tone that goes into that. Yeah, I think these three things is it.
Now, I know you have a retreat coming up in Austria in September. that's targeting high achieving women. You're calling it I am becoming, which is a phrase I've heard you say earlier in our conversation. What made you go in this direction?
So, first of all, research shows that 92% of leaders report better understanding of their strengths and weaknesses after a retreat. So, it's like where people come together in person. And 83 acknowledge the improved leadership capabilities by that. So that means also not only within an organization, but leading yourself. It's about leadership, lead your own ship first, then you can lead others. So I'm becoming is a retreat I designed for this high achieving women. It's because they feel like they are lost. They have lost touch, I would say, with who they are beneath all the roles and the titles and the hustle. It's who have realized I have done everything I was supposed to, so why don't I feel like me?
Oh,
Those are the women. Yeah, they are entering a new chapter. Maybe they have left corporate, or maybe they're pivoting, or they're climbing the career ladder and don't know, yeah, who am I to become? And they navigate through challenges, maybe a divorce, losing a job, and they finally also ask themselves, what do I really want and what's next? And there's women who have stepped back to help others succeed, like husbands or kids. Now they are empty nesters. Now what? Yeah. And for the first time in their life, they're choosing themselves. So it's really a retreat that is designed as a sacred space for them to reconnect with their inner beauty, with their inner brilliance, with their excellence, with their greatness, with who they truly are. Realign their identity also with their values, maybe values that they have never thought about, and or there's always this that the regular check in with your values and who you are, who you have become, and what you are becoming. And then also reclaiming visibility. That was a huge thing for me, to going from invisible to being visible. Very often they want to be seen by others, but don't see themselves first. Yeah. So it's also not about performance, but really about the truth. So creating a brand presence that feels as true on the inside as it looks on the outside. Yeah,
mm,
it's it is really not about to be seen for who you are supposed to be. It's like always the other, yeah, the perception of the others. It's about become who you truly are, yeah, and not someone new. It's really someone that is already within you, but has never, you never allowed it to be seen, or
right.
maybe only here and there, but not truly in all walks of life. And I
Mhm.
think that is a powerful shift for women to reclaim their voice and their vision. And that's how you become magnetic. And yeah, retreats create this spaciousness, I would say, the physical, but also the mental and the emotional. And I think it's really a transformative journey for this high achieving women, because we combine mindset reshaping, peer power circles, embodiment sessions, then also with yoga, meditation, and also the food is aligned, and the business strategy, yeah, and also creative expression. So it's all one. And why now? Maybe you question, because today leaders, and I think women in particular, are stretched very thin, and they need a powerful reset and reclamation.
Right. That gift of self-awareness eludes many of us.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it eludes many of us. That's so true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. To choosing presence over perfection. I think that it's so hard, but it's so powerful once you have accomplished. It's kind of relieving. It's yeah, it's a process that once you're there, you never want to go back to the old version. Yeah. yeah, your brand isn't is it's and it's not just a project, it's an unfolding process. As I say, it's a becoming. Yeah.
Right. In the theme of becoming, I know that you have had quite a journey in your life and like me, look at it as just that, a journey and a learning experience. What is life teaching you right now?
Life is teaching me right now, even though I'm a very, passionate person, that everything takes time and that everything happens when it's supposed to happen and it happens for a reason. And it's teaching me patience as well.
Oh,
Patience with myself, because very often we want to be faster than we can. Patience with myself and patience with things unfolding. They unfold, yeah, but it all takes its time. And sometimes there is a lesson not quite learned, yeah. So I think this is what life is teaching me. And life is teaching me also, and this is, yeah, it has been, yeah, it taught me to let go of things that do not support you, that is not part of you anymore. And once I did that already years ago, I had capacity and I could receive that what is important in my life right now and going forward. It's opening up this space for that it's supposed to be part of your life. What life gives you as opportunities to take. Because when you hold on to old things like performing and molding in and thinking you have to, and because it's family and because it's this or because it's, no, everything has its time and it's about letting things go. It's in the past, release, let go, and then also forgiving yourself and others. Yeah, because others create pain, but you carry the pain forward by thinking about it and not forgiving. Like, this forgiveness and forgetting about it, and like Kondo, this Marie Kondoing, when you need to let things go out of your wardrobe, give
mhm.
blessings to it when it leaves. Thank you for the time you have spent with me. Thank you for the time we have created. Maybe also at the workplace or the company you worked with. It was a great learning. It was a great experience, but now it's time to let go and be open for new things to come. And they come whenever time is ready. And sometimes we just don't know. And I think the most important thing, trust your journey. Trust that things will unfolding, not by just waiting, but by proactively setting setting actions or taking actions in the belief that things are happening for its reason, and also not coming from a place of scarcity but from a place of joy and love. And you do that because it's something positive to do. You do that because it's the right thing to do right now. Listening to your inner wisdom. That is what life is telling me also. There is your inner wisdom. It's the soft voice. It's not the loud voice. Hey, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. You're not good enough. Da, 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 da. There is a lot of, self-talk that is going on with us very often. In,
Right?
in times of crisis and transformations and transitions and metamorphosis, kind of, yeah. But it's this inner knowing, the inner voice, when you ask a question and there is something like a feeling coming, or trust this inner wisdom that you had all along with you, and is something to integrate in our life. Because I think we are living in a society where we are not listening internally. We are listening to everything that is going on because we are part of everything, or we need to belong. But first, we need to belong to ourselves, listen to ourselves first, and then create that identity we are supposed to be. Yeah, and become that on the way, evolving.
There's so much noise around us all the time from so many directions. It's hard to hear that inner voice through
Yeah,
all of that. But
yeah,
great
exactly.
advice. Great
Yeah.
advice. Well, Brigitte, thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you to our listeners. I hope this has been a valuable use of your time. And is there any parting words you'd like to share as we get on with our days?
Yeah, I think it's that you are a brand, whether you claim it or not, and that your story matters, your values matter, and your presence matters. Yeah.
Mhm.
So reclaim it, have the voice, and it's all within you. I think that's my parting words. That
Right. We all have a brand. The question is whether it's the one we want it to be.
Yeah, yeah, and I think this is about to figure out because sometimes we are surprised what's in there, and we are not giving it much attention. Yeah, and so I think yeah, we should refocus and go within. Well, go within first before we listen to everyone else.
Right.
People are not in our shoes. You are the only one.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Sue. Thank you.
I hope that my conversation with Brigitte provided you some insight and inspiration. She was kind enough to provide complimentary access to her entrepreneurial branding starter checklist, and you will find the link to that in the show notes. If you'd like to learn more about Brigitte, please visit her website at www.bridgetbrands.com. That's BridgetBrands.com. And you'll find information about the retreat we mentioned when you visit that site. Thank you for joining me for this episode. Until next time.